We got breaking news into CBS Sports HQ. Former Bills guard David Edwards signing a 4-year, $61 million deal with the Saints. That's according to multiple sources. And for more on that, let's open up the desk. We have Kyle Long and Pete Prisco joining us now. First and foremost, are you surprised by this move? It seemed like not whatsoever, Pete.
No, because once Connor McGovern was re-signed to be the center, they knew they weren't going to bring back David Edwards. You couldn't bring them both back with the way their salary cap is, so it's understandable that you pick the center. I would have picked Connor McGovern as well. He was a better player, at least in my opinion. But for the Saints, you also understand it from their standpoint, because you're trying to build around a young quarterback. And what do you do when you build around a young quarterback? You get a running back like they did with Travis Etienne, and then you get an offensive lineman who can make you stout in the middle of that line. So I like the move. It's a little pricey, but everything's been pricey today, so it's hard to argue with it. But I like the move from the Saints standpoint as well.
You know what else is pricey? When you don't have a guard and your quarterback ends up leaving the stadium on a stretcher, Pete Prisco. So that's what you're trying to avoid. And that's what I was always told as an offensive lineman. If we don't do our jobs, it not only affects your ego and pride, it affects the entire operation. So kudos to the Saints. Like you said, young quarterback. They bring in Etienne to play the running back position. Inside out. That's how you build the foundation of a successful offense. Where I learned that lesson was actually from the New Orleans Saints. Drew Brees, who do you have in front of him? Carl Nicks, Jari Evans. Now, this guy ain't those guys, but he's better than what they had last year. They're going to be better offensively.
When you discussed that Connor McGovern obviously going to Buffalo with that, what else now do you think the Bills have to do to fix and move around that O-line?
Well, look, they have guys that can play that left. If your weak link is only your left guard, then you'll be able to compensate for that, and that's a good line. I mean, with McGovern coming back, I mean, you have the right guard there, Torrance, you have the right tackle, Brown, you have the left tackle, Dawkins. They're good up front. They'll be okay. And that's why they realize that once you made the decision to bring McGovern back, you can fill that guard spot. They have some guys they like, some younger backups. They play a lot of tight ends. Remember, though, the offense is evolving. Joe Brady is going to change the offense. It's not going to be the same offense it's been. They still want to run the ball. But his plan is to throw the ball more down the field and let Josh Allen be Josh Allen, which I think they need to do. So they will evolve a little bit, but I think that they'll be able to fill that left guard spot. If you only have one spot on your offensive line that's a worry problem, then you could fill it with a guy that maybe is a developmental guy, and he'll be able to grow with that group.
So there are Band-Aids, and then there's, you ever heard of this thing called new skin, where it's like
you paint it on?
You put a little like gel pad, you put the Band-Aid over it, then it just becomes part of your skin.
Yeah.
So in bad rooms, you put Band-Aids on holes, okay? In a room like this, you get new skin. Now here's the question I have. Aaron Kromer, one of the best run game coordinators in football. He retired. I'm going to his retirement party in like a month. That's the O-line coach for the Bills. Beloved by his players. A leader in the room. With him stepping out, Joe Brady stepping up, what the hell is this all going to look like?
Right.
And you say, yeah, they can fix the guard position quickly. I want to see that happen before I comment any further on it.
But, I mean, David Edwards was a guy they got off, from the Rams. I mean, so that you can find
and Kromer got him going.
Yeah, well, you can find. Well, it's going to be a challenge.
Yeah.
You're not going to find Aaron Kromer everywhere.
No.
We got new news coming in. The Jets just agreed to terms with veteran defensive tackle David Onyemata. 1 year, $10.5 million deal, $9.65 million guaranteed on that one, Pete.
And this goes back to their philosophy going into free agency. It was a young team. We need to get older on defense. And they got older. And they're not, this isn't a mega deal. It's a 1 year deal. Onyemata played well last year for Atlanta. He could push the pocket. It gives them a bunch of big bodies on that defense now. They really have improved on the defensive side of the ball. You look at the acquisitions they made in the last, 2 weeks, 3 weeks. They've really improved on that side of the ball. And getting DeMario Davis, he's a pro's pro. You get Minka Fitzpatrick on the back end. All of a sudden, you're looking at a team. Joseph Asai can rush the passer. Sweat, provided you can keep his weight in check, is a big body that can help them in the middle. Enagbare is another guy. Not a great edge player in terms of sack numbers, but physical, tough. All of a sudden, you're looking at this defense and you're going, they got better in a good way with both guys who can make plays, but also the experience factor for a young defense. The big question now is, Will it matter? Who's playing quarterback?
Yeah.
If they don't fix that position, it doesn't matter. And like I said, if you don't fix the quarterback position, you're better off just tanking and going into the draft next year and drafting them.
Yeah, you can build a bully all you want defensively, but you're dead in the water if you ain't scoring points. And to your point about getting older, I love that you pointed that out, because at all three levels of the defense, they have guys now with Davis, Fitzpatrick, and up front there with Onyemata. They've got veteran leadership to help bring the tide up of those younger players. I think it's a good move. It's one that their head coach understands because he's been there before. Defense wins games, but you got to have a quarterback.
By the way, he's back to calling the defense this year too. He's taken it over again, which I think he needed to do. I think he was such a good defensive play caller when he was with Detroit. Didn't do it last year when he became a head coach. Now he's back to calling defense.
Just looking at the money, because I always just find this so intriguing. The Jets handed out 5 contracts to defensive players today with $10 million plus AAV each. So they are doling out the money there, but what's going to happen at QB? That's the question. All right. Next up, the Raiders have agreed to terms with wide receiver Jalen Nailor. That's a 3-year, $35 million deal, including $23 million guaranteed. Pete, your thoughts?
I guess I didn't like their young receivers as much as they portrayed, because they went out and got another one. Look, Nailor became a pretty good player in that Vikings offense. He's a third receiver. He can do a lot of things. He's more than capable of moving up and becoming a number 2 wide receiver. Keenan McCardell, the wide receiver coach in Minnesota, I've known him for years. I covered him when he was in the league. He's a really good coach. He's developed these guys in the past. If you go back and look, the third receiver always seems to develop in Minnesota and then go elsewhere and make plays. And I think he's going to be able to be a productive player. Again, another weapon for the young quarterback. You can see the plan.
Yes.
They're building around that young quarterback. Fernando Mendoza will be happy with what they did today.
And this team will grow together,
Yeah.
the Las Vegas Raiders. You know, I'm talking line of scrimmage, skill positions, quarterback, the coaching staff. They're all going to grow together, and that's what you want. What more can you ask for? You know, it kind of sucks you get the number 1 pick because you're in a bad spot, wins and losses wise, but ain't too many teams that feel better about the core moving forward if Mendoza is the guy.
If Mendoza's the guy, they won't be picking number 1 again
No.
for a long, long, long time,
Yeah.
if he's truly the guy.
I think Mendoza should be the guy.
I think he is the guy.
Yeah.
I think he's the guy.
All right, we got much more to come here on CBS Sports HQ. Don't go anywhere. We have so much more, breaking down all the news that's coming in and these notable upcoming NFL dates. So right now, we are talking about the league year, and it basically feels like it officially begun, but it officially begins on Wednesday.
It began.
It began. It already began. And of course, all eyes are going to be on the NFL draft that's taking place in Pittsburgh. That is on April 23rd. Taking a look at the headlines right now, the Dolphins have released quarterback Tua Tagovailoa, ending a 6-year marriage in Miami. The Fins will take on a record $99 million in dead cap, split over the next 2 seasons. Tua was a Pro Bowler, led the league in passing back in 2023, and since then, he's struggled, throwing 22 interceptions in 25 games over the past 2 seasons. Speaking of the Dolphins, they are trading former All-Pro safety Minkah Fitzpatrick to the New York Jets. That's the latest from our Jonathan Jones. In exchange, Miami will receive a 7th-round pick in this year's draft. The Jets also plan to sign Fitzpatrick to a new 3-year, $40 million deal. The Packers, they're trading defensive tackle Rashawn Gary to the Cowboys. That's been confirmed by our Jonathan Jones. In return, Green Bay will receive a 4th-round pick in next year's draft. Gary tallied 7.5 sacks for the Packers last year. He's now signed in Dallas through the 2027 season. Here's a look at some other notable deals, and they are coming in fast and furious today as we enter that 2-day negotiating period for free agents. Just to name a few, cornerback Buster Brown heading back to Jacksonville on a 3-year, $33 million deal. The Texans bringing back 2 key players in offensive guard Ed Ingram and D-tackle Sheldon Rankins. After a successful trial run in Pittsburgh, the Steelers